He is our White House correspondent for Valley News Now, and we thank you so much for being here today. Now, I don't know if you've got to do an interview for Fargo, North Dakota before, but I bet you know what I want to talk about.
I can guess. A little bit of news on the political front made today as it relates to North Dakota.
Yes.
So not only are people paying attention to Mike Pence, they're also paying attention to your governor because he's, of course, now entered the race to be the Republican nominee.
Yes, we had a very big day in Fargo, North Dakota with that announcement today. So I would love to hear what you can tell us about him from an outside of the state perspective.
Well, you know so much about your governor, and there's not much I can add to that because you know his political background and you know his background also in the private sector. That is what he is trying to do now, is to introduce himself to voters first in Iowa and then Republican voters in the rest of the country. What he clearly is going to do is sell what he believes is the success story of North Dakota and say, what I've done in North Dakota, I can do all across the country. And what he touted in that announcement speech was how North Dakota, for instance, has had a booming economy, the third lowest unemployment rate in the country. That's a great record to run on. Of course, right now, as things stand, your governor not that well known. But, you know, look, you got to start somewhere. And yes, he'll be in the single digits immediately, but I think that he views himself not only as a long shot, but he also viewed himself as a long shot when he ran for governor and was so successful in winning the governor's mansion.
You are exactly right. He talked about that today, too. He's been a long shot and a dark horse many times. So we were curious what you thought as well about as far as his standings in for Republican candidacy. Is he too middle of the road? What do you think?
Well, no, I don't think that. I think he ticks off a lot of boxes that appeal to Republican voters. For those interested in those social conservative issues, he certainly ticks some boxes there, although that's not been the focus of his governorship, unlike, to a certain extent, it's been the focus of the governorship of Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida. I think he's really focused on being this economic conservative, someone who can really boom the U.S. economy in the same way that he's done that for North Dakota. And let's face it, that's what every voter talks about when they talk about the top issues that motivate them. It's always jobs and the economy. And I think Governor Burgum believes that he has that background. He has the place in which to launch this candidacy and appeal to voters for whom this is their top issue.
Well, it really does sound like a strong foundation. Whether or not he'll be able to make his name known nationwide will remain to be seen. What do you think of that? Do you think he'll be able to get that stronghold?
Well, you may recall, I certainly do. I've been covering politics for quite some time. A guy named Barack Obama. Not very many people knew about Barack Obama when he ran for the White House in 2008. Of course, voters in Illinois did. He was their senator. But around the country in Democratic circles, they weren't familiar with Barack Obama. And wow, he surpassed the frontrunner in 2008, Hillary Clinton. And not only did he surpass her in terms of becoming the Democratic nominee, he went on to win the White House. So that's on the Democratic side. On the Republican side, sometimes a dark horse emerges from the pack. And let's face it, when you talk about presidential politics, it's often compared to a horse race. And if you follow horse racing, even if you follow the Kentucky Derby, for instance, the favorite doesn't always win. And I think that's what the governor is counting on, surprising a lot of people in this run for the White House.
Well, thank you so much, John, for your time today. We sure appreciate it. The White House correspondent here today for Valley News Now. Thank you again.
Thanks, Jesse. Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks so much.
Have a great day. Talk to you soon.